Welcome back to StillPoint Logic, episode 4. Just want to say I'm really glad you're here with me again. Last time we explored how to question a single belief, trying to catch the moment when your mind tells a story and asking yourself, is this really true? Today we're taking it even a step forward and we're asking what happened when it's not just one thought, but 20, 30, maybe 50 thoughts looping in your mind. When your mind won't stop replaying, analyzing, and spinning. Overthinking. Overthinking can feel a lot like running on a hamster wheel. Your legs are moving, your energy is spent, but you haven't gone anywhere. Or maybe it feels like windshield wipers sweeping back and forth in dense fog. There's a lot of motion without clarity. You feel busy, alert, productive, but nothing actually moves forward. And here's the tricky part. Overthinking often pretends to be helpful. Your mind is trying to predict the future, prevent mistakes, think about all the possible scenarios in order to keep you safe. That's its intention. But in reality, life is unpredictable. Accepting that you cannot control everything is the first step towards freedom. And I'm saying this as a project manager that part of my job is always risk management. But the moment that you understand that you cannot predict every single outcome and predict how other people are going to behave, that's the moment when things become calmer. Notice your own experience for a moment. Can you feel some kind of tension? Do you feel a restless energy even as you are listening to this podcast? That's the weight of overthinking. Here's a little story. Imagine this. It's late at night and you're finally in bed. You're thinking, so down for the day, I just need to relax. And then it begins. Did I handle that situation well today? You replay it once, twice, then imagine how others saw it. Then you start imagining how you should have handled it. And then you start trying to predict tomorrow. What if they think less of me? What if I made a mistake? These minutes turn into hours. Now, you're not only tired, you're also carrying the weight of a dozen imagined scenarios. Now let's break it down. The event might be a minor thing that happened, perhaps an email, a conversation, decision you made, something someone else told you. The thought, did I do it right? And then the spiral. If I didn't do it right, they might be disappointed. If they're disappointed, it reflects on me. If it reflects on me, maybe I'm not capable enough. If I'm not capable enough, other areas of life could fall apart. And the emotion is that you are probably feeling very anxious, restless, your anxiety levels are going up, and the self-doubt is kicking in. This was just a random scenario, but I was trying to prove a point and to show you how fast a small spark can light up a forest of thoughts in your mind. One event grows into a wildfire of worry, self-doubt, and imagined disasters. This is exactly what overthinking is. And the tricky part is that it often masquerades as careful planning or problem solving, but in reality, it's just worry in disguise. So why does overthinking feel so heavy? I think it's because our mind is doing its job too well. It wants to control, wants certainty and safety, and it thinks that overthinking will get you there. So sometimes overthinking feels like problem solving, but that's how it tricks us into believing If I just think it through one more time, I'll be safe, or I will find the solution. The catch is that your mind mixes good intentions with distorted thinking. For example, let's take an example of a health situation. You notice minor symptom, something is happening in your body, or you're waiting for test results. Your thoughts start to spiral. What if it's serious? If it's serious, I might need treatment. But what if the treatment is hard? My work will suffer. If my work will suffer and then I'll fall behind, what can I do? Will they fire me? How will I make money? How can I pay my mortgage or my rent? A social scenario could be you're scrolling through social media and then you see a friend's weekend post. You're starting to think, why wasn't I invited? Why are they ignoring me? Do they not like me? Is this the first time I was left out? What are they actually thinking about me? The third scenario could be about relationships where, let's say, you received a short, vague message from a friend. So usually it's these text messages that are only one word, like okay or thank you. And then you go through this spiraling overthinking. It's like, oh my God, they only sent one word. Are they upset with me? Did I do anything to upset them? Is our friendship not that strong? What is happening? What is going on? I don't understand. These thought patterns, they're understandable. Your mind is trying to help you figure things out. The problem is, it doesn't know when to stop. It keeps running the same scenarios over and over. And that's why overthinking is exhausting. Your energy gets drained, your confidence wanes, and small decisions feel monumental. Yet you can interrupt the cycle. So, in the next part of the podcast, I want us to go back to the scenarios we already talked about, but I want to show you how you can stop that loop in practice. The first loop that we were talking about is the health loop, and here's an example. Jamie is waiting for a routine test result. At first, it's just curiosity. I wonder if everything is fine. But soon, his mind starts racing. What if something is wrong? Or what if I'll need treatment? What if it changes my routine? How will my work be affected? How will my family be affected? And then he listens to his body and he can feel a lot of tension growing in his chest. That tension is a signal for him to stop. So he takes a slow breath and reminds himself, I'll take it one step at a time. I'll deal with whatever comes steadily. So Jamie paused, assessed the information in his mind, and then he gave himself an out. He gave himself a reassuring, more grounded way to look at things. And I understand it's like I'm describing a scenario on steroids because everything is happening so fast. I understand these things don't happen in this speed, and that from the moment that you start overthinking until the moment that you can stop and breathe, you're going to go through hell. But it is as simple as that when you start training yourself and training your brain to understand, okay, this is when I stop. And I give myself an out and I think about it from a different perspective. So let's hop to another example. And we talked about the social loop. Priya scrolls through her feed and sees a group of friends at a weekend outing. Instantly, her mind starts to spiral. Why wasn't I invited? Do they not like me anymore? Am I always left out? And then she catches herself before the spiral deepens. Her thought, I don't know the whole story. And this doesn't define our relationship. I do want to reach out to them and ask what happened. And again, I understand that it's very hard to bounce back when you see that you've been left out. And this is a very speeded scenario, but it is as simple as that. You're seeing something, you're starting to feel it in your body. You're starting to feel tension, this uncomfortable feeling growing within you. That's when you stop. You don't let it take over you. And even if you can't define a more grounded way to look at it, you just stop for a second. Because when you stop, it's where you create a little bit of space between you and the emotion, and then you will be able to think about it from a less emotional way. The last loop I wanted us to talk about is something we're all familiar with, and it's the relationship loop. It doesn't have to be between you and a partner, it can also be with friends and family. And it goes like this: Alex gets a short, vague message from a close friend. Okay. Suddenly, a cascade of thoughts takes over. Are they upset with me? Did I do something wrong? Is our friendship okay? What's going on? He pauses and notices the tension. He decides to step back and breathe. And then he thinks to himself, I can check in without drama, see what's really going on, and not jump into conclusions. With that shift, the tight knot of worry begins to loosen. And why does all this matter? Overthinking doesn't disappear instantly, but noticing the loop, taking a pause, and choosing a different response, this action interrupts it. And each story shows that even a brief moment of awareness can ease the tension. It might quiet your mind and it will help you make a better decision. Now, I'd like to guide you to a very short reflection practice. It's not going to be something hard, and if you're not in the mood for it, then just skip it. But let's hop into it in case it can help you. Try this 3-step pause when your mind starts spinning. Step 1: label the loop. Say to yourself, this is overthinking. Because naming it creates mental distance. Step 2: find an anchor. Focus on one steady point around you. It might be your breath, a small action that you take, a rational thought. For example, I don't need to solve everything now. I can handle one thing at a time. And then the third part of this is try to release the rest. And I know it's an abstract thing to say, but you have to let go of the need to answer every what if immediately. Easing yourself out of an overthinking loop comes from an action, and not from endless rehearsals of imagined scenarios in your head. And this is it. This is the reflection practice for today. This is a micro practice that it gives you a way to step off the hamster wheel. Over time, when you practice it again and again, it will help you notice when you're stepping into a loop earlier, and it will help stop that spiral you're about to go into. And now you already know me and how much I like little stories here and there. So before this episode ends, I wanted to share one story with you. It's called The One Thread. There's a saying that I like, and it goes like this: you don't have to untangle the whole knot, just find one loose thread. Overthinking convinces us we have to solve everything, every what if, every mistake, every possible outcome, before we can move on. But you don't. You just need one thread, one thought that feels true, one small choice that brings you back to the present, one thing you can do right now. And sometimes that thread is as simple as standing up or opening a window, sending a message you've been avoiding, or stepping outside to feel the air on your face. Small, real things. They don't untangle the whole knot, but they shift it. And that's enough to start breathing again. And believe it or not, but this is the end of episode 4. I really want to thank you for listening. I know these things that we're talking about are heavy and it makes you think heavy thoughts, and maybe sometimes you're realizing things that are hard to digest. I also know that sometimes I'm thinking and talking at the same time, so it changes my tone of voice and sometimes it sounds weird. So I just wanted to let you know that I appreciate you coming back. And I want you to remember, overthinking is a natural thing, but your mind doesn't have to run the show. And when your mind starts racing again, as it sometimes will, remind yourself that you can slow it down by returning to facts, perspective, and one manageable action. And let that guide your attention moving forward. That's how you will train your mind to respond instead of react. I want to thank you for listening. The reflections in this podcast are inspired by logic-based therapy, a philosophical counseling model developed by Dr. Elliot D. Cohen. I'm a certified logic-based therapy consultant, and what I share here is my own perspective on its principles. This podcast is meant for reflection and learning and isn't a substitute for professional mental health. Take care, and I'll see you next time at your StillPoint.